We're all interested in some element of history. Some of us really love the clothes, and that's what I'll talk to you about. Oh my. You will have a lovely picnic. First, let's go back to late Victorian times. Anything your heart desired, if you had the money, you could purchase machine-made, starting about 1880. We see a lovely young lady, perfectly coiffed, perfectly corseted, with a draped bustle. She really is a walking work of art. The garment itself is made of silk and wool. If you were a wealthy young lady, you would have your dressmaker or perhaps even a couturier make this gown for you. This is just a perfect example of an upper-class social costume. Let's take a look at a similar gown from the same year in a very lightweight summer fabric in a bold, bold print. This is the era that we sometimes call the natural form, where the skirt is supported by a petticoat, but it's not extreme. This is not something you would wear for heavy-duty housework. You might do a little mending, a little embroidery, perhaps. For a dinner party, you may bare your arms, and you may wear something much grander in terms of fabric. This is actually an artistic dress or a reform dress. Down the front, we have this length of contrast fabric made in what they thought was a medieval style. If you want to enhance your figure still further, a bustle frame will make your skirt look larger, thus making your waist look smaller. And as most of us know, that is the last thing to go. So, not that you need to worry, dear. Now we're looking at something that's a revival fashion, inspired by the clothes of the colonial era. We are going for a shepherdess look. This is not your standard dress, but if you're very fashionable, you'll want a dress that is different than what everyone else is wearing. It's a retro fashion. This is a fussy look. This garment is actually made of 4 separate pieces. Enjoy your picnic, my dear. Here we have a bodice that is trimmed to look like it has a Swiss vest. This is 1889. The bustles have collapsed. That wasn't a practical style, and of course, once all of the servant girls have their bustles, then why would the grand lady still want one? Thank you. There is another class of people that are not wearing the high fashion clothes. This is made of a silk, and you can see my lady is adorned with pearls. She has her cards in case you should be introduced to someone appropriate. Women wanted to emphasize some other aspect of their figure, and so how about large sleeves? We're copying the look of a suit, and yet, like the dress we looked at from 1889, it's just 2 pieces, and I love your hat. In the 1890s, something new had been invented. You might be attending a ball in an electric lit ballroom. We're doing fuchsia, which is so beautiful with your coloring. Now you'll notice the gloves. I'm wearing gloves, and she's wearing gloves. We don't have sunscreen in this era, and so the gloves would keep you from getting sunburnt or worse yet, freckles. This wide shoulder makes her look bigger, but it makes her waist look smaller. There were more opportunities. A few women were working as stenographers, or they had work as clerks. Some of the really poor were moving up. You see she's wearing the white blouse. It actually has little tiny dots, so it's not boring. Another aspect of the 1890s is the City Beautiful movement. To get out into the world, to see the city, to be part of it. This is 1898. Even if you're a home sewer, all of a sudden, you can make the most stylish dress possible. The dress is much more complicated than it looks. It's a skirt and a bodice with a sash that you would have to wear with it, and these gathers are actually sewn to the foundation. Thank you. We're going to look at Edwardian fashions now. The structured skirt has turned into a flowing skirt. And here we see the influence of Art Nouveau. We start to see the S-curve shape. Oh, and the lovely pearls. Your husband must love you very much. This gown is copied from another dressmaker's book of about 1905. And again, we can see the shape of the S-curve, the softness in the front, the sweep in the back. Now let's look at something from 1905. She's a Brownie Girl. The progressive era has brought them more free time, and so you have the opportunity to take your Brownie camera to a vacation place. So simple. Thank you. Now we're going back to an upper class look. We're up to about 1909, 1908. These tucks and pleats are starting to be used a lot. A little fullness at the sleeves, not that much. So we're ready for an afternoon with your lady friends. Now we're looking at a motoring costume. The duster is a thin cotton or linen coat. It will protect your beautiful white dress. No matter what your status, you could have a beautiful lingerie dress. This is a truly democratic style. Here we have a fabulous resort costume. You might take the train to a beautiful place like Astoria or Seaside. You'll notice the skirt is so slim. We have lost the hourglass, we have lost the bustle, we have lost the big sleeves. We are going to the beach. We want a nautical look. You'll notice that my skirt tends to be a little more full than the hobble skirt. The gentleman learned what a lady's ankle looked like. They like to be looked at, so it's fine. Now we have an evening gown for you to look at, and for a young woman, a white silk gown is just perfect. The dress is a very thin, sheer fabric. There's a new thing here. She's got a kimono sleeve. It became high fashion. This is the life of the privileged. We're looking at silk gowns and dancing and evening. Thank you. We are up to 1912. We have work to do, ladies. The hat I'm wearing is a toque. It was considered appropriate for women of a certain age, but some women loved these large hats. We're still getting attention, aren't we? Women are out in public in more and more numbers. Women learned if a man gets a little too close, women thought it was a perfectly fine solution. 1914, Europe is at war. And American women start to wear a new look. This starts to look quite modern. A very elaborate, detailed look made in a thin, light fabric. This is a day dress. Women were doing their own housework, and thanks to electric appliances, they were able to do so much more at home without the help of a maid. You could actually vacuum your house in a dress like this. A lot of the beauty of this era, the late teens, is in the collars and the lace. When the war is over, 1919, we get a slimmer look, and some women were not wearing the hourglass corsets. You'll notice she's still wearing the shoes and stockings of an earlier age, but now we can see her ankles. All the dresses I've been showing have been dresses that were made by Lavender Screen. Laree has the real deal. Oh, velvet dress. Thank you. The 1920s were a time of playing with color, with design. We're starting to see Art Deco motifs instead of the Art Nouveau. It's a transition. And you notice she's wearing the new cloche hat. Well, if you have one of those hats and you take the lining out, it becomes a lower hat. You can barely see the lady's eyes. She's a woman of mystery. She's a woman who votes. She's a woman with a job. She is a woman to be reckoned with. Basically, we have the garments we had in the 1920s. Let's just take a moment and thank all of our lovely models from the dressing room.
And a big thank you to Kay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.